Not all women want to make it on their own. Some prefer to feed off others.
These girls need routine.
A military man's true enemy is closer than he thinks.
Just an evil, psychopathic person.
One nurse is no Florence Nightingale.
They actually needed a lot of care, and Dorothea didn't like that.
And a devoted wife organizes a special surprise.
There's one clear-cut motive that begins with G and ends in R-E-E-D.
These deadly women will do whatever it takes to cash in. In 1993, Riverdale, California. Mother of two, 38-year-old Susan Lee Russo has a rigid routine.
She would fanatically clean the house. I mean, every corner, every piece of furniture had to be spotless for her.
I need your help. David will be home soon.
Susan had to keep things neat and orderly. Her house was immaculate, even though she had a toddler living there.
Daddy's home. Hey there.
Married to a Navy man, expectations are high.
Hey, sweetheart.
Husband David likes a tight ship.
I've known military people in the past. Their clothes have to be perfect. Their locker has to be perfect. They come home, I'm sure they expect the same thing. That's what they know.
Dinner won't be long.
It's not ready? We always ate at 1800.
This isn't the mess hall.
Well, these girls need routine, don't they?
Some people said that he would ask Susan to jump, and she would say, "How high?"
Money is as tight as the rules in the Russo household.
There you go. There's your weekly household money.
I need to buy new shoes for the girls.
David controlled the purse strings, so much so that if Susan asked for $20, later she had to account for it.
That's not enough.
Cindy is broke.
I could get a part-time job to help out.
So Susan turns to what she does best: cleaning.
She was cleaning homes for various people in the area. She said it was to take care of the kids, but it was off limits to David. That was her money.
But this Stepford wife isn't as clean as she makes out.
You know, on the outside, Susan looks like the perfect wife, the perfect mother, but all wasn't well inside. She was hiding something.
Susan didn't want extra money to go shopping or buy things for her children. She had a habit. She wanted it to buy methamphetamine.
She was doing that even prior to her association with David.
Hello, princess. How are you? Hey, sweetheart. Where's Mom? Let me get changed and I'll help.
But it's not just drugs Susan's been keeping secret. She has a lover, too.
She's having a sexual relationship with somebody she's buying drugs from.
I think because he paid attention to her and was nice to her, I think that she was drawn to that. they had a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship between the two of them for quite some time.
That's what she lived for. It had become her new love.
That consumed a large part of her life away from David.
Hey, you didn't wait for me.
But tensions are building.
Have you finished, girls?
Susan is no longer playing the dutiful housewife.
I need you to go to your room.
Oh, I want to talk to them.
I want to talk to you.
Lighten up.
Her family commitments are cramping her style.
She felt that that was the only thing keeping her and Jason from being together.
Where have you been?
I broke out of your prison.
You've got the doting mother, doting housewife who is cleaning houses
I love you. I don't understand.
I know you don't.
and doing drugs. It's kind of a mismatch. Something's wrong with this situation.
Friends notice the new Susan. A combination of young love and financial freedom gives her uncharacteristic bravado.
They're playing cards with neighbors one night, and they get into a back and forth.
I'll raise you 30.
Susan, what are you doing?
I'll see you 30, and I'll raise you 30.
Sure.
Susan.
And David says something to her that she doesn't like, and she says, "You better watch it."
Stop telling me what to do.
Susan's not gonna take orders any longer.
I'm so over you.
Because you, mister,
I could have you taken out anytime.
I can have you killed anytime I want. You better watch out.
Everything okay with you two?
I just don't know anymore.
It sounds comical, but the truth is often said in jest. This does not bode well for David.
In Riverdale, California,
Lighten up.
Susan and David Russo's marriage is falling apart.
Where have you been?
While he's serving his country, she's getting high with a secret lover. But in 1994, a meeting with a military advisor changes everything.
How do you do?
Somebody from the Navy had come to their house and talked to them about their finances and what the family stood to gain, Susan and the kids, should something happen to David.
You will be looked after. David has a healthy life insurance portfolio.
It included Social Security, retirement, and insurance, and I think it all came to around $1 million.
We're worth more dead than alive.
No truer words were ever spoken.
It's almost as if that day, a light bulb goes off in Susan's head.
Susan sees a way out of her domestic boredom.
Susan's probably saying to herself, do I want to clean houses for the rest of my life? Or do I want to live in the lap of luxury without David?
She turns to her secret lover.
Hey, this is my old lady.
I can give you $100 now, more when it's done.
She's in that culture. She's in that drug culture. And good people don't run around in that subculture of drugs.
But I don't want you to be the shooter.
Jason brings in his 28-year-old drug-dealing associate, Bobby Morris.
Hey, I can help, but I don't want to be the trigger man.
So now we got 2 drug dealers, Susan and a military man who's worth $1 million dead.
I'll pay you when it's time.
This is not gonna end happily ever after.
On Wednesday night, July 13th, 1994, the trio strike.
never were 100% sure of who fired the shot. David was asleep. Whoever had the gun put the gun up and shot him in the head.
To be killed in your own house while you're sleeping is pretty cold-blooded.
One shot is all it takes.
Not only did Susan have no regard for David's life, her children were in the home during the murder. She didn't care about that either.
Susan thinks she has everything in order.
Not only was Susan careless about finding someone to kill David, she was also careless about planning how she was going to get away with it.
Jason was going to drive the body to a remote location and then torch the vehicle to get rid of the body.
But Jason miscalculates.
Jason ran out of gas while driving the body from the area, and then didn't have gas to torch the vehicle, and was stuck on the side of the road with the body in the back seat.
They were not bright people. They were not smart people. They were hardcore meth addicts.
The next morning, David's colleague comes by.
David was supposed to be at work this morning, and he's not there.
Hey, Susan. Is David sleeping again?
No, I'm a bit worried. I don't know where he is.
Something's wrong.
Don't worry. We'll find him.
And Susan's behavior is odd.
Will I still get his paycheck this week?
Yeah, sure.
David's body wasn't even in the ground before Susan was finding out exactly when his paycheck that week would be available to her.
Meanwhile, David's body is discovered by a local farmer.
It looks like an execution. And that's because it was.
Mrs. Russo, we've discovered a body in the backseat of your husband's car.
As routine procedure, the police interview the victim's spouse.
Oh? I hope it's not David.
It is David.
And get more than they bargained for.
Well, you won't find any blood in the house. And you won't find any bullets either.
She, of her own volition, said that we would not find any bullets, which we found rather curious.
The expert cleaner is confident she has covered her tracks.
And there's going to be some blood left. That's just the way that is.
Police find microscopic traces of blood in the bedroom, and the shell casing links the gun to her partners in crime. All three are convicted of first-degree murder. Bobby Morris and Jason Andrews are serving 25 years to life.
I think Susan was a big mastermind in this whole thing. And I think that her manipulation of Jason and Bobby probably is, I mean, that's the callousness.
In 1996, Susan Russo is sentenced to life without parole. To the world, Susan played the role of the diligent housewife, eager to please her husband. But in truth, she was only looking out for herself.
Absolutely evil, just an evil, psychopathic person.
She offered someone $100 to kill David. That's the value she put on his life. and their marriage.
Opportunities are won and lost
She wanted to change her will.
on a woman's ability
Certainly is an interesting coincidence.
to adapt.
This was a toxic, lethal overdose.
I think caring for the elderly is my calling.
In the 1930s, Nottingham, England. New widow Dorothea Waddingham is left alone to care for a young family.
After Dorothea's husband died, she'd have been in quite a difficult situation with 3 small children to bring up.
But it's not for long. Her lodger, 39-year-old Ronald Sullivan, seems like a good catch.
Ronald was a decorated World War I veteran who'd won medals for gallantry.
Ronald, how kind of you to come.
How are you?
What starts as a financial transaction turns into a happy union.
Better for seeing you.
She formed a relationship with Ronald Sullivan, who was, after all, living in the house. And they had a further 2 children, but they never did marry.
You okay?
Just.
So there were 5 children in the family by 1935. The oldest was 10, and the newest had only just been born.
Making ends meet for a family of 7 gets tricky.
It was no doubt a considerable financial strain to bring up these children.
Found anything?
I should have stayed in the army.
There's not much work for an ex-soldier in the 1930s.
I've got an idea that I think will make us a lot of money.
But luckily, Ronald has Dorothea.
Now?
Leave that to Nurse Dorothea.
When life presents a problem, she always has a solution.
Dorothea was a very interesting woman.
The bedrooms are quite large.
Dorothea thinks there's money in sickness, other people's.
Shall we take tea?
She hits on a lucrative idea of running a nursing home.
They had a big home, so she decided to take in some elderly sick people and care for them.
There's just one problem.
Sugar?
Dorothea has no medical qualifications, so she lies to the authorities.
Nurse Waddingham, have you ever worked in a nursing home?
Yes, I have. I think caring for the elderly is my calling.
Even though she passed herself off as Nurse Waddingham, she was certainly never qualified as a nurse.
In no time, the new enterprise is approved and welcomes its first clients. 87-year-old Louisa Bagley and her daughter, Ada. Dorothea is in business.
The nursing profession doesn't generally make nurses wealthy, but Dorothea made it work for her. When 2 infirm women, mother and daughter, were referred to Dorothea's nursing home, she didn't look at them and wonder, how can I help them? How can I make their lives easier? She looked at them for their bank accounts.
I hope you're comfortable here.
I'm pleased we're here together.
Ada was 50 years old and had a disease described as creeping paralysis, where the paralysis of the body progressively increased, necessitating eventually immobility.
Being an entrepreneur isn't easy. Dorothea's patients require hard labor.
they needed fairly much round-the-clock care. They would be receiving medications, they would need feeding, cooking, etc.
They actually needed a lot of care, and Dorothea didn't like that.
You all right?
No, I'm exhausted.
And the money's not great.
I don't know how aware Dorothea was initially of how much care the Bagleys would need, but it soon became clear that it was a great deal more than she thought it was worth.
Dorothea wasn't happy with the amount of money she was being paid to care for them.
Miss Dorothea, can you come here, please?
I'm coming!
This is not the life Dorothea has planned. She decides to make some adjustments.
Is something wrong?
You and your mother will have to leave.
No. Why?
You require too much care. I'm arranging for you to go to a workhouse.
She actually told them she would send them to a workhouse. And that's not a good place for two sick people to be.
No, please, no. Mum was 5. I feel I won't either.
Workhouses were fairly harsh places where you expected to work for your living. Food was fairly meagre.
Well, there may be a way you can stay.
In 1935, Nottingham, England. Struggling to cope with the workload of her nursing home. Ever resourceful, Dorothea Waddingham has a solution.
You and your mother will have to leave.
No. Why?
You require too much care. I'm arranging for you to go to a workhouse.
No, please, no. Mum was 5.
Then, fate intervenes.
Mother? Mother?
Louisa's death was officially attributed to old age.
Mummy, are you all right?
Oh, Mum! Help, please! Please, somebody help me!
I'm sorry, Ada.
No.
On May 12, 1935, with the death of 87-year-old Louisa Bagley, Dorothea has one less mouth to feed.
Dr. Mansfield, it's Nurse Waddingham. Ada's very ill. Please come quickly.
And within months, nature takes its course again.
Ada was chronically ill, not acutely ill. She had multiple sclerosis. She was fine. And the next day, she was in a coma.
I'm afraid she's gone.
What happened?
I think it was a stroke.
There was nothing to suggest that Ada had died of anything else.
She came in with her mother, who died recently.
That was good enough for him, so that's what he recorded on the death certificate.
Dorothea's problems have simply vanished. And even though her patients have gone, their money hasn't.
Mrs. Bagley, so good to see you again.
Prior to the deaths,
And how are you, Ada?
I'm fine, thank you.
Ada made some financial adjustments.
On May 4th, Ada summoned her solicitor and said she wanted to change her will.
Are you sure about this?
Absolutely.
Well, in that case, I just need you to read through it and make sure everything's in order.
She would leave about £1,600 to Ronald and Dorothea on condition that they looked after her and her mother for the rest of their lives.
Ada's idea of the rest of her life and Dorothea's idea of the rest of Ada's life didn't match. After she changed the will, she died. Certainly is an interesting coincidence.
Ada's will also requests cremation. Unfortunately for Dorothea, the local coroner smells a rat.
When you look into somebody's death, you're really looking into their life. You're looking at how they ordered their affairs. When the residents of a nursing home change their will to benefit the person who owns the nursing home, it always raises suspicion.
The suspicious doctor orders an autopsy on Ada's body.
This examination revealed that Ada had in fact been poisoned.
The physician who did the autopsy found more than 3 grains of morphine in her stomach. So this was a toxic, lethal overdose.
Thank you, Dorothea.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Ada's last meal, prepared by Dorothea, was pork, baked beans, a baked potato, and 2 helpings of fruit pie, topped off with a real nice sauce of morphine.
As a result of that, it was decided that Louisa's body should also be exhumed and a post-mortem made.
I cooked one of your favorites.
Oh, pork. Oh, yum.
When Ada's mother, Louisa, was exhumed, they found elevated levels of morphine in most of her organs. She didn't die of natural disease. She died of a morphine overdose.
Seeking refuge, Louisa and Ada Bagley gave their trust, their money, and in the end, their lives to Dorothea.
I hope you're comfortable here.
I'm pleased we're here together.
Louisa was elderly and frail, and her daughter was very sick. They had one thing going for them. They had money to buy health care, but they went to the wrong purveyor.
Dorothea Waddingham is convicted of 2 counts of murder. She is sentenced to death.
Dorothea might have gotten away with 2 murders if it hadn't been for the suspicious mind of their doctor. The FBI could have used a man like him.
On April 16th, 1936, Dorothea Waddingham is hanged.
Serial killers always think they're going to get away with it.
Lakewood, Colorado. In the desert city, a brutal home invasion.
He was caught completely by surprise.
Why are you doing this to me?
I was hugely violent.
Police, open up.
The officers entered the room, and immediately to their right, Alvin is breathing deep, the apneal breathing of a man who's about to die.
Ma'am, please.
Darlene told police that 2 drug dealers from Louisiana had come looking for payback. They put her into a back bedroom while they killed her husband.
The story starts in 2003, down in Louisiana, where Alvin and Darlene Spears are running with the wrong crowd.
Alvin had a bit of a checkered past for sure. He was dealing in drugs.
And his 28-year-old wife, Darlene, is dealing guns.
Make sure they're 38s.
Have I ever let you down?
She was charged or indicted by ATF for selling straw purchases, selling guns through straw purchases.
But their life of crime comes to an end when Alvin is arrested. To save himself, he becomes a police informant.
There's probably no more dangerous activity
What do you got? Tuesday, Sammy's garage at midnight.
than being a drug dealer and informing on your colleagues to the police. But that's what Alvin was doing.
Nice work. Okay.
He is making enemies fast. So Alvin and Darlene skip town.
Alvin wanted to get out of the criminal life he had in Louisiana and saw Colorado as a new beginning.
Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing. We good.
Alvin is
Testing,
reborn.
1 2. Testing.
Alvin was studying to be a minister.
Your husband's a very talented young man. How are his studies?
He'll be a minister in no time.
Darlene is right by his side.
She, by all appearances, also was involved in the church and seemed supportive of everything that Alvin was doing. To everybody, she presented as a God-fearing, church-going woman.
Now they're safe and secure, but they still have some problems.
Hey!
Money was a huge issue. They didn't have any. Darlene and Alvin's new start in Colorado left them pretty much penniless.
What do you think?
How much all that cost?
Why? You don't want your woman to look good?
Life without crime doesn't pay so well. And Darlene is missing the cash.
Don't stay up too long, baby.
Darlene's life in Colorado was going the way she wanted to go. She was respected. She saw a future. The only problem is she didn't have the money.
But Darlene is enterprising and is planning a surprise for her husband.
You're home early.
Yeah, I pulled a hamstring. What's up working on the weekend?
It's nothing. It can wait.
I think she had plans for him
Need a massage?
Hell yeah.
that he wasn't going to like.
Come on, baby.
Lakewood, Colorado. With wife Darlene's support, Alvin Spears transforms himself from drug dealer and police informant
Tuesday, Sammy's garage at midnight.
to preacher.
Darlene and Alvin left Louisiana behind. But Alvin would probably have to always be looking over his shoulder.
Old foes are one problem. Lack of cash is another. But on December 7th, 2003, over a romantic meal,
Hey, you coming? Dinner's up.
Almost.
Darlene is ready to reveal her solution.
Spoil me, babe. I almost forgot. I got a surprise for you. Let me get it.
You are spoiling me.
Alvin was caught completely by surprise. He had no idea this was coming.
He stood, he tried to walk away from that. He continued to be hit in the back of the shoulder now.
He was in shock. Alvin could not believe that his wife was standing there with a sledgehammer doing what she did to him.
Why are you doing this to me?
He's trying to move around the apartment, trying to get out. He goes over, tries to actually crawl up underneath the desk, and the desk is hit.
When Darlene murdered Alvin, she didn't hold back. She stabbed him with a knife and crushed his head with a sledgehammer.
Whatever plans Darlene has next are changed instantly.
Police, open up.
Neighbors, appalled by the sounds they hear, call the police.
They knock, they announce their presence, and immediately Darlene locks the deadbolt on the front door.
Open up. This is the police. Open the door. You're safe now. Open the door.
Darlene needs to stall.
There was a slight delay in getting that door open. And Darlene claimed that she had to change because she wasn't dressed.
Ma'am, please.
And when she came and answered the door, she was in bloody clothes.
Homicide, 187.
Who puts on bloody clothes to answer the door when the cops are there?
Ma'am, can you tell me exactly what happened?
Darlene told police that 2 drug dealers from Louisiana had come looking for payback.
There were 2 of them. They forced me into the bedroom. I heard everything.
Although the police are skeptical, they don't have enough evidence immediately to make an arrest. Darlene has time to refine her story.
Leadership is based on inspiration, not domination.
And get on with her career. She is a respected team leader.
She brutally killed a guy who was turning his life around and then passing herself off as a victimized woman, professional, and moving on with her life.
There's just one problem. The crime scene tells a different story.
Darlene explained the blood on her clothes, saying that it was transfer blood from Alvin when she was tending to him. But forensics proved it was spatter, high-velocity spatter blood.
Investigators soon discover numerous life insurance policies.
So do I get cash or bank transferred?
Darlene takes out 8 life insurance policies on Alvin.
So how's the money paid?
Adding up all these insurance policies until it adds to about $380,000.
Do you need any extra forms? Do you need a death certificate?
She's already contacted 3 or 4 of the 8 policyholders to try to get the money.
Thank you.
It's entirely possible that after 3 months, Darlene thought she was home clear. She wasn't going to be arrested. Surprise!
She's actually at a seminar, a work seminar on leadership.
There is only one rule. Hunt or be hunted.
She's in the middle of a seminar when I arrest her.
I've been expecting you.
She looked me right in the eyes and she said, "I've been expecting you."
Take her away.
In 2006, Darlene Spears is found guilty of murder and sentenced to life, plus 48 years behind bars. Although she'd been a petty criminal, Darlene has no history of violence and a good relationship with her husband.
There's one clear-cut motive in this case, and it's a word that begins with G and ends in R-E-E-D.
Greed is what really drove her to try to get to where she wanted to be. And unfortunately, her husband was not going to be a part of that.
These deadly women valued money more than lives. Susan Russo went to war on her military man. Dorothea Waddingham targeted the most vulnerable. And Darlene Spears sacrificed her husband for the good life. For all three, the ends justified the means when they decided to cash in.